Hey, what is up, everybody? I'm your host, Rob Younts, and thank you for tuning back into the Canecast Show. If today's your first episode, you are in for a treat. If you've been with us before, we really appreciate you coming back. But either way, today's guest is an awesome dude. He's the head coach at Lexington High School in South Carolina and the head coach of the 2022 Canes national team. But before we get to him, I'd like to ask you a favor. We need your help in growing the show. How can you do that? Well, first of all, smash that like button. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast host, give us a like. You can drop us a comment to let us know what you like or you don't like about our show. You can help us grow a community by subscribing. This lets others know that this show is legit. You can show us some love with a review or 5. The best is to share it. Send this out to your friends and enemies who are missing baseball right now. I know it's right around the corner, but you might just save a relationship by sharing this episode. Today's guest is Canes 2022 National Head Coach Brian Hucks. Coach Hucks is a legend at Lexington High School. He's been with us for 4 years with our Canes South program. He's a great teacher of the game, and he is renowned for making guys better. In this episode, Coach Hucks previews some of his 2022 talent on his roster, as well as his style of play. So be careful. After this interview, he'll have you wanting to slide headfirst into second base just to beat the tag. So here's Coach Hucks. Hey, what's up, everybody? Rob Younts here with another great episode of Canecast Show, and we have a total dude here today with a we talked about it offline, a face for video, or was it audio? I can't remember. It's one of those two, Coach. Coach Brian Hucks with Lexington High School, as well as Canes 22 National. How are you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing great, Rob. I really appreciate you having me on. I can't wait to talk about this group.
Dude, you are one of my favorite follows on Twitter, and then in the fall, I've got to unfollow you. It hurts my heart when I do it, but I got to unfollow you in the fall because all the football content you put up. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you are, and what you do for a living. Then we'll get into some of your stuff with the Canes.
All right, I'm currently the head baseball coach, like you mentioned, at Lexington High School. I'm also the assistant athletic director. I teach PE, and so I wear many hats. And so I'm actually coaching at the school that I graduated from. So it means a lot for me to be at my home and to coach the program that gave me so much. So joining Canes, I think 4 or 5 years ago, and it's been a great time to learn and grow as a coach, and working with some really great guys like yourself.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I always love running into our Canes coaches. I'm with 14U, but love running into some of the guys that coach some of the older teams. Because it's such great baseball guys, man. I love sitting down with you and talking baseball. You and Corey, two of my favorite guys, just to be able to sit down and chop it up, over dinner or something like that, talking about
Absolutely.
funny stuff we've seen on the field. And I know you coached my nephew last year, so we've got a lot in common and a lot of fun times together, man. So, gosh, you and Corey are running the 16 national this year. How's that shaping up so far?
Well, it's exciting and nerve-wracking. When Jeff called me with this opportunity, I was blown away and excited about the opportunity. Then I started, and I knew they were good. Then I kind of looked and saw that, they went like 46 and like 2 last year, and they won like every event they went to. I'm like, crap, all I can do is mess this thing up. So, but man, I'm super excited about it. This team is absolutely loaded. So I can't wait to get to know these guys and see them play on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've had some great success with with our Canes South program. You guys have done phenomenal things with that. We get a lot of guys out of there that go into some big time programs. And you guys have made some deep runs in some events, man. Can you tell us some of the highlights, I guess, of what you guys have done with the South team? You guys have it's been pretty impressive.
Well, I appreciate it. It starts with Corey Welch, who kind of runs the South as far as getting our players lined up. But there's so many really, really good baseball players in South Carolina, and we extend to North Carolina and Georgia occasionally. But it means a lot to me to coach our home state kids and try to showcase them and really put them on the map with our guys. And, with the South, it's really more trying to showcase these guys and get them in front of college coaches. But I think winning is always important. And I think these guys want to be a part of teams where winning is important. It's a focus because they want to play hard. And I think you can accomplish those things by showcasing kids and making it where you're playing to win at the same time. So, but we have made some deep runs. We won a couple of won many dynamic events along the way. We made deep runs in Atlanta. A couple years ago, we won the Raleigh end of year tournament and beat a really, really good South Charlotte team in the semifinals that allowed us to move on to the championship. So, we won a bunch of games and it's been a lot of fun. But more importantly, we made a lot of really good connections and, guys that have played for us, we still stay close. And to me, that's what coaching is all about.
Absolutely. I feel the same way. And, the interesting part of that, and I think what really gets lost in, when people look at the Canes is they don't realize how much talent is there on the regional level.
Absolutely.
National team, that's great and all. They, a lot of really big names there and a lot of big programs. But, you're sending, as a regional guy, you're sending a lot of guys to those SEC and ACC programs. I mean, I think that gets lost a lot of times. People think it's national team or bust, and the depth of the organization has been something that's always impressed me. I mean, are there any guys that kind of stood out from your South teams that have gone on and had really good high school careers and gone on to some bigger programs that you can remember?
Well, definitely. I mean, just from last year, we had David Lewis on that team, who's a big time hitter, and Garrett Dill. Your nephew Augie is a heck of a player, and there's a lot. A lot of our guys from last year on that South team was so good. They've been bumped up to the American team this year. So, some left-handers that went and pitched for the 15 national team in the World Wood Bat tournament. So, there's a lot of really good players, and most of our guys have been either high-level Division II or low-level Division I players. But there's also been those guys that are committed to Clemson or South Carolina or North Carolina. Those guys that maybe aren't quite at the national team level, but our national level is so good that it kind of filters down. And one other thing I want to say about the Canes, and one of the reasons I like them so much is that they are always putting together a good team. They're not just taking kids, I think, because they can pay to play, and you see a Canes team and they always get their brakes beat off. If you see a Canes team, you better show up and play because it's going to be a talented group.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that was the one thing, super impressed with, all of your teams over the years is, somebody's coming to play that Kane South team that you guys were coaching. You might want to buckle up your chin strap because you guys are about to get after it. And that's the thing that excites me most about you guys, at the helm of this 16 and under national team is that I think that same approach is going to come through. And again, we've had great success at that 16U level. I know that's, not to put any more pressure on you, but when Jeff first got rolling with this thing, that 16 and under team was the one that was, winning the national championships and stuff like that. So again, not to put any pressure on you. I know you don't have enough with them being 46-2 last year, but we know you can handle it. You're a phenomenal coach, and I know you're super humble. Both you and Corey are very humble guys, and super successful program there at Lexington. Tell me a little bit about your team at Lexington this year, kind of before things got shut down. How are you guys looking, and what does the future look like there at Lexington High School?
We were having a great year. We ended up 5-2. We host a tournament called the Nature Chem Invitational every year, and it's 12 of the best teams across our state, and we went 4-0 to win that event. So, to start out the gate and playing that well, I had a really good senior class. Had 7 guys that were really good players, and really strong junior class. And so we felt like we had a chance to make a pretty deep run. And unfortunately, COVID stepped in and halted all that. And, it's been tough for a lot of players. And I tell a lot of people it's tough for the seniors, obviously, but it's also tough for all those other players that are losing a year of development and, not being in a structured environment where we can help them grow as players. So, there's going to have to be a lot of baseball played in the fall, I think, to catch these kids up.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And, everybody talks about the guys that are, going to school and college rosters and things like that. But I agree with you 100%. Those high school kids, they need that development. They need that year. And now they're being shortchanged. And, there's not a solution to it. But, it does hurt the development. And that's why I think, what we do is so important. And even more so this year. I mean, having a good coach that can help and develop you, not just, write a lineup, throw you guys out there, hope you get better, guys that have a lot of hands-on experience like you and Corey in development, in helping guys get better, finding that edge, polishing up and getting ready. You're inheriting quite a few guys that are already committed. The interesting part about 16 and under nationals, you have a ton of guys that are already committed, but you also have this pot of guys that aren't, that are probably close, and definitely on radars because they're at the top of that 16 and under bucket, that crop of prospects there. But you do have that interesting, conundrum. Jeff doesn't have to deal with it at 17. I think he's maybe got one or two guys on his national team that aren't committed, and it's usually because they're deciding between, ACC, SEC, Pac-12, one of those. But with that, tell me a little bit about the overall team profile of what you got. The arms, the position players. What do you know about them so far? What can you share with us?
Well, obviously they're uber talented group of players, and I spent a lot of time talking to Batch, and so I can get to know these guys. And obviously he's got a really good feel for who they are because he spent all last summer with them and talking to Jeff and talking to to Dan and you, because I really want to know who these guys are before we jump in, with both feet, because we. When they're so spread out, you really don't have that opportunity to say, hey, let's get together this weekend and practice a little bit so we can put some stuff together. But, what I know is that, it's, you look at let's start with the infield. You got Mershon, Young, and Triantos, who are all, stud middle infielders that can absolutely pick it. All can play shortstop. And then you've got Judd Uttermark, who's a big physical corner infielder, third baseman, who's an Ole Miss guy. Going back, Triantos is North Carolina, Cole Young is Duke, and Mershon is in Mississippi State. It's just it's like, like Jeff told me, he's like, I'm giving you the keys to Ferrari, man. So, but I'll tell you one thing, a funny story. What's not, me and Corey went to watch this group play last year, and I got there early because I wanted to see them warm up and kind of see how they carry themselves, and I think I got more enjoyment watching those infielders just catch ground balls before the game started, just because they're so polished and the electric hands and their feet are so good. So really excited just to watch those guys play. And you got Xavier Isaac, who's an uncommitted first baseman, big power bat. There's not too many top 30 national players that are uncommitted at this point, but he can really swing it, big physical kid. So you go to the outfield, you got Roman Anthony, who's an uncommitted outfielder, and he's really coming on the scene right now. A lot of interest from a lot of big-time schools right now. Left-handed stick can really play. You got Nathan Fink over in right, who's a physical specimen, 6'4", 190 pounds. And interesting story that, he was a hockey player growing up, and only started playing baseball, I think 5 or 6 years ago, what Batch told me. So just a real interesting story. Now he's a top 30 national player. And Vincent Vittori is another outfielder, and Torrin O'Hare, who's a Stanford commit. Vittori's a Duke commit. And then behind the plate, you've got A.J. Shepard, who's an Indiana commit, who Batch tells me just a ton of good things about his leadership qualities and kind of kid he is. And Lamar King is another great catcher. So, the one thing I'm excited about is I think that's 11 position players. So I don't like to have a big position player roster. I like to keep the numbers low because I like for those guys to play.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I had with us last year Roman Anthony down at 14 and under national because he was age eligible. We had him for a couple times, and kid can swing it. He's starting to fill out a little bit. Great kid, very quiet but very focused. Really enjoyed coaching him. He was really, really good. You're going to really like that left-handed stick.
I know there's another outfielder out there, Michael Allen, I believe, from J.H. Rose in North Carolina. And he's a
That's
stud,
right.
man. I've got I'm also able to look at your roster, so I'll make sure to fill in. But man, yeah, how about that? How about your middle infield there with those guys? I mean, Mississippi State, you got North Carolina so you have Mershon at Mississippi State, you have Triantos, and then you've got Cole Young. I mean, I know Cole had a phenomenal summer last year. I think every time I looked, he was barreling something up, and Triantos, kind of the same thing. I mean, he's just a gamer. And Mershon, man, that guy just he reminds me of an Alvarez at UNC, where he's every time you look, that kid's on base and causing problems. Yeah. So yeah, man, that's a good little nucleus you have there. And your corner guys, man. I mean, yeah, you've got Ferrari keys, buddy. I mean, I don't know how it's. 46-2. I mean, that's out there, and I know we joke about that. And I know you're focusing one game at a time, and winning the one in front of you. But man, you could throw those names in a hat and shake it up and pull out probably a pretty good lineup. What are your thoughts? I mean, I know you got some power there. You got some team speed. What are your thoughts overall on the overall offensive approach? I mean, what do you guys look at there, and how do you guys design your offense?
Well, in general, I like to be really aggressive on the bases, and what I like about this group is there's a lot of kids that can run. There's a lot of athletic kids. So, my high school team still has a lot of bases, and a lot of it is green lights. So I give those kids the freedom to run. We talk a lot about what we're looking for, and trying to run and breaking ball counts, and reading the pitcher, knowing his timing to the plate, reading looks and all that. So there's a lot of small things that go into it, and I'm curious to see what these guys' baseball IQs are. I know they're all pretty high from what I've been told, but I like to get in their heads and talk to them in the dugout and see what they're thinking, and I like to let them hit. I don't like to sack bunt a whole lot, but the guys that can bunt for a hit, that's a weapon. I want them to be able to use it, and if nothing more than you show it so that it opens up some holes, on the field. But we're going to let them hit. We're going to give them the freedom to go after it and try to do damage at the plate. And we're going to see a great arm every time out. So we're going to get where we can read pitchers and and try to get into their mind a little bit and see what's going on and talk about approach and some things like that. But for the most part, we're going to let them roll. And I think what separates the Canes program, I think, with these really, really good players is I think you see some teams that are really talented and the coach sits on a bucket and writes the lineup out, and that's the last time he's really involved in the game. And not that I want to be involved in the game, but I think good players need to be coached too. And, so we want to get after it a little bit, but I think I could probably not show up and these guys win a bunch of games, but I want to see how good I can make them.
Yeah, and that's it's so great, being isolated in COVID, you sit on Zoom calls and stuff like that, and I think we should do a little bit, we should have done a little bit more of that with Canes coaches, because you're making me fall in love with you all over again, because that's exactly how I feel. Even at when I was coaching 17 American, I felt my job was still to help them get better. Yeah, certainly they can go out and they can win a ton of games and they can go to college and probably be okay. But if I can impart one or two things on them, polish up this corner, sand this corner here, maybe make this a little better, I agree with you. And you've said some things that really touch my heart, is the, being able to run and being able to give green lights and stuff like that. Having guys with a lot of baseball IQ, that's great, because then you can teach them even more. You can dangle that carrot in front of them even more and start challenging them in different ways. And that's, again, like I said, listening to you talk, it made me fall in love with you all over again, man. You're one of my favorites, because the way that you say things and your philosophy on the game, I just love hearing it. And being a hitting guy and being an offensive guy, I love that. So let's talk the other side of the ball on defense. I mean, I know you guys, you got these bangers, you got some speed, you got some guys that can really swing it. How do you guys profiling defensively? What are you looking at there? I mean, you've got some athletes, so this shouldn't be that bad.
No, I think as good as they are offensively, I think we're better defensively, which is crazy to think about. But We've already talked about the infield. They're incredible. The outfielders can run. They've all got good arms, really good behind the plate. So, I think if you can pitch and you can defend, those are the things you got to bring to the ballpark every day. And talking to Corey about these arms, I mean, it's incredible what we're going to be able to run out there on the mound this year. And them knowing that, we can try to pitch to contact, even though they're probably striking out people at a high rate with the stuff that they've got. We can try to be aggressive in the zone and let our defense play a little bit. And, the two things I like from a pitcher, I like them to work quick. And I like them to throw strikes. So if they can do that and they can keep the game rolling, then our defenders are ready to play. And we want to get in the dugout as quick as we can and start banging balls again. But, you look – just in my state alone, you got Evan Sierra, who's a Mississippi State commit, and he's a guy that I think looks like he's in a rocking chair when he's pitching with, 90, 92, hammer breaking ball, and then we have this lefty that's uncommitted named Tristan Smith, who's, he's been up to 95 multiple times. He's got a twin brother, Ashton Smith, who's he's just an upper 80s lefty too. So
right.
Those guys are not bad, just from South Carolina. But if I can go down the list, Cassius Thomas, who's a Duke commit, I believe he's out of California. Jackson Ferris, who's a big lefty, NC State commit that's blowing up right now. Cameron Keyshock, who's an uncommitted kid out of Alabama that's, I think, 6'6" and a power arm, really, really projectable guy. You might have to help me with Tyler.
That's what I was going to say. This one's yours. You got to get this one right.
I think it's Piscacco, I want to say, but
I think that's right.
Washington commit, really good arm. The Varela Payne, who's a kid that competes his tail off and plays with a lot of movement. Kyle Larson, the donkey that's committed to Florida. Help me with Matthew's last name.
Mateus,
thank you. UNC, I know he's already pitched in some really big games already. So, has that pedigree. Bradley Gagan, who's a lefty Tennessee commit, who, I think people say crafty lefty, but he's upper 80. So I don't know how crafty that is anymore, but that's crazy. But Cameron Freeman, who's a big right-handed pitcher out of Georgia Tech, that's committed to Georgia Tech. He's another South Carolina kid, a really good slider. Matthew Porches, who's a Texas commit, he's another donkey. Then Sam Bull, who's a Washington commit out of California, and then the one that Corey's really excited about is Ben Bobby, who we just picked up, who's an Arkansas commit, and so he's really, really projectable. He's got a real chance.
Yeah. And there's one out of Texas, I believe, the J.D. Thompson, I believe.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, no, you're good. I have I have the roster up here, and so I had Manny Mateus last year, a little bit with 14 National because he was age eligible as well.
Right.
First thing I remember about him now, he's probably gonna be begging for at bats at some point. We coach Jason Millsy's got him hitting down there. I don't know if he's still hitting, but he hit for a little bit for us and swung it pretty well. But those arms, man. Yeah, you joke around about the Smith brothers, and they're twin lefties that are throwing upper 80s and 90, 95. I mean, that's not bad. You've got some really good arms there. I think you're going to really like Porches. I know he's ultra competitive. I know Jackson Ferris has been having a phenomenal spring. Looks like he's ticking up as well, man. And you got to get Prestako down. I think that's his name. You got to get that name down because he's a dude.
He's a dude.
Man, you've got some really good arms. I mean, it's interesting how the pitching staff evolves and people come into roles and things like that. Yeah. You were right about Sierra. I mean, that's nice and easy, 90, 92 coming at you. And it'll be interesting with him once he starts filling out a little bit more because he's a 6'1", 6'2" guy, 6 foot guy with about 160 pounds. Interesting when he really, really fills out. Mm-hmm. You've gotten to see your South Carolina guys, Cam Freeman and those guys. I know he works with Mike Williams a lot. And Mike speaks very, very highly of Cam. So, man, you've got a lot of big arms. You got a lot of guys that are going to fill up the zone. What exactly? What does y'all schedule look like? Can you talk about that? Where you guys are going and what you're doing? Because, like you said, you get thrown into the fire kind of right away, right?
Yeah, we're going to be in Hoover. And we're just, that's an elite level field. I looked at the teams in that last night, and it's pretty exciting to see that we're going to jump in there with a who's who of of travel ball and in the country. But it's good. I mean, these kids need to be challenged. They need to play against really good teams to they're not going to enjoy beating the brakes off of a bad team. We need to play really good teams for us to be challenged. So I'm looking forward to it, to see how we can grow and how we can develop. We're going to be in that USA national event that got pushed back into the back end of August. We're obviously in we're WWBA, and then we're in the PG event in Orlando right at the end after that. So it's a lot of really, really prestigious events, and I'm excited about it. Coming from being in the South, we had a more local schedule, and and played a lot of the dynamic events, which are always just very well run and awesome. But I'm looking forward to really matching up and really, the thing that's exciting for me is I think I really get to manage the games to really win with this group. Before I always had to balance South Carolina's in to see this kid. I want to make sure he gets his 4 at-bats or this arm or whatever. With so many kids who are already committed, we can focus more on developing them to get to maximize their ability. And obviously we've got a couple that we need to showcase and be seen, and we will do that. But I get them really manage and really coach to win baseball games and and teach the game to these guys. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the things I really enjoy, with the national level teams is kind of the same thing. I mean, and you want to teach them to win, some of these kids, they may not have, like some of these top arms, for example, they may be the only arm at their, their school, and teaching them how to be a great teammate, how to be, provide energy every day, and how to be, how to be a good teammate in that dugout, helping your team win, even when you're not out there. I mean, the reality is even the top pitchers are. I was joking around with Hayden Thomas that just recently committed to Arkansas. Joking around with him about his, he was posting pictures on Twitter and videos on Twitter of his swing. I'm like, I didn't even know you swung a bat. But the reality is these top arms will go back and they'll be they'll be their first baseman or an outfielder for their high school team and getting at bats and things like that. So it is a little bit different for them to come here and I throw on this day and then I sit for the next 2 or 3 and staying engaged and being part of it and stuff like that. How do you work that during the summer? Because I know that is a little different from high school and stuff like that.
It is, but I mean, I think that's part of the art of coaching is that, we've got to try to build a culture, and that's tough to do, when you only get together 5 or 6 times over the course of a summer. But I think, that's one thing I think I've always been able to do with this group is that we're a family and we're going to pull for each other and we're going to be first class, and this is your role right now. And, and we try to keep them engaged and having conversation and talking about those things. And, and I think that the better relationship that we can have with these players, the more they're going to trust us, and the more they trust us, the better we're going to be able to coach them. And, and so, that's going to start from day one is, that we're here to serve them. We're here to help them become the absolute best baseball player they can be. It's, I'm an open book. I'm very honest with them. And when they're playing really good, I tell them. When they're playing really bad, I tell them. So, it's, I think that's very important that we're always up front with them. But I think the things that you're always going to see from our club is that we're going to play the game 100 miles an hour. We're going to play the game first class. We're going to respect the game. And we're not going to be overly mouthy, but we're not going to back down either. So I want them to know that we're going to compete and we're there to win baseball games, and we're going to do it the right way. And, you're going to hear hard 90, and you're going to hear take the extra base, and, and you're going, it's, we're going to be, we should be a dirty team by the time the game's over.
Yeah, now you got me pumped up, man. I'm ready to go. I know I probably couldn't contribute at all to your team, but I'd be in the dugout rooting for you, man. You guys I'm really excited about this. Anything else you want to mention? Anything else you want to bring up? Anything we haven't touched on? I mean, you're the right guy for the job, man. I'm super pumped when I heard you got the position. Always admired you, and, from everything I had heard about you even before you came to the organization about how you ran your program at Lexington. We're super excited to have you here and want to have you for a long, long time. What else you got for us, man? Because I can sit back and listen all day. I don't even need to run this. You're just pumping me up, man. I'm filling up a notebook and just sitting back and getting excited for the season.
Well, I appreciate I'm extremely humbled and honored, that that you guys have given me the opportunity to take on this team. And I know what this team is, and I know what it means, this organization. So the fact that y'all trust, me and Corey to run this group means the world to me. We're not going to let you guys down. We're going to bust our tails every day to coach these guys up and to make them as good as we possibly can. Always represent the Canes organization in the first class manner. But the Canes family has become very important to me. And, I learned that early on, when I was coaching with the 17 South. And if I ever needed something, I could call Jeff or I could call Rob or call Dan, like, hey, what can you help me with this? And it was always yes, and so it's, it's always a well-run organization. Y'all care about everybody from the bottom 14U team to the top 17 national team. So, it's an honor to be, with you guys, and I'm looking forward to a long relationship with you guys.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, you say some words they're near and dear to my heart as family. I know you're a very relationship-driven guy. You keep in touch with your players after they've flown the nest and gone and done other things. And, the one thing this GameCast has allowed me to do is really, get some guys on camera that that we coached a long, long time ago. So I have no doubts that, for years to come, these 16-year-old players are in great hands. And not only that, these are going to be guys, we watch them on TV and that's cool and all. But when you get the text from them that say, hey, I really appreciate this, as they gain a little bit more perspective, which I know you've had guys from your high school do the same thing, to have those guys that, hey, I made it to the bigs and I thank you so much, or I made it, I made it through this first tough weekend of my, my ACC, SEC, Pac-12, Big Ten weekend, whatever the case may be. Those really mean a lot to you. And that's, the way that you talk and the things that you say about your guys, people didn't hear this before, but, asked him about how he's doing with COVID, asked Coach how he's doing with COVID. And first thing he says, man, I miss my guys. I love my guys. And that's a big reason why, guys are getting dirty at the, in the games. That's a big reason why guys are, your South guys have so much success at this level and the next. And so big reason why this 16-year-old national team is going to be so good is because they have you guys, and you guys are calling them family, and you're treating them as if they were your kids. And I do that as well. I know several of us, within the organization, we talk about family all the time, and it's great to hear that it's being embraced by people throughout the organization, because it's not people that don't get in, that are in travel ball don't really get what we mean when we say this. It's more lip service for a lot of people, but it really is true. And to hear you talk about that is really awesome. You're the right dude for the job. You're everything that embodies a Canes coach, and you're super successful at the high school level. So these guys are really lucky to have you and Corey as their coaches, because you guys are phenomenal at what you do, man.
Well, I appreciate that, man. The wins are important, and the championships and all that. But at the end of the day, it's this relationship that we have with the kids, and then the ability to impact their lives. It's what means so much to me. And to know that that I'm invited to their wedding, or they call me, hey, coach. I just I had a player that got out of boot camp, and he was like, coach, I made it through it. And, all those things are what matters to me. And it's those times in the dugout, when it's, when you're on a rain delay and you're just shooting the breeze or whatever, and you're really getting to know the kids. Those are the things that you miss the most, with this. So it's, baseball's about relationships, man. That's what it's all about.
So, all right. So along those lines, do you really miss Augie for all that?
He's a piece of work. Now I'm gonna tell you what, it was never a dull moment with my dude Augie, but he dialed it up and he competed and he played his tail off, man. So I do miss that more than you know. I didn't think I was gonna miss it as much as I do, but I really, really, really do miss it.
I give him such a hard time about that. Coach, well, man, it has been awesome. You are an absolute dude. We are honored to have you as part of the Canes family. And as I said before, you are the right man for the job. You are exactly what is going to help these kids get better. They've got a person they can look up to. We've always had a dude coaching at that level, and you are it. I know for a fact you're going to get them better. So if you're a 16 national player, or you're somebody who wants to play on our 16U national team, this is your guy. This is the guy that's going to lead you and help you get better. you've got somebody who's going to embrace them and prepare them not only for not only for the next level, which is 17U and 17 national and play for Jeff, but getting them ready for college. Buffing and polishing and doing everything you can to help them there. And quite honestly, it is a lot of honest feedback that I know you're going to give them, good and bad. I mean, just because they're playing on a travel team doesn't mean they don't get to hear the bad as well. Hey, we told a kid last year he needed to change his body, and he did. You can take that two ways. You've got guys that I'm sure you've leaned on a little bit, and it could either go left or it can go right, and if it goes left, that might be out the door.
That's right.
But I know you're the right guy for it. I know that Dan and Jeff, when they talk to you about it, they know you're the right guy, man. I'm excited about your team this year, man. I need to get out and see some of that.
Me too, man. It looks like it's going to be worth the price of admission. So, between the dugout antics and the fiery head coach and these uber talented players, it's going to be fun, man.
I can't wait, buddy. Well, if I can ever do anything to help you, I'm here for you, my man. We will probably get back on and check with you later because I want to get an update on some of those uncommitted guys. What we're going to turn this into a little bit is going to be profiling guys. So I'd like to have you and maybe Corey on and talk about some of your guys, what you've seen, get an update, and help get some college coaches out there to see these guys and make sure that we take care of them and get them in the spots that they need to be successful. But thank you so much for joining us today. You are an absolute dude and a great friend, and man, it breaks my heart when I have to unfollow you in the fall. Well, it really does. I send you a message every year saying, man, I hate to do this, but I've got to unfollow you. But I'm going to try not to do it this year. See if I can follow you through football and your play-by-play.
I'm going to try to scale back a little bit this year. I think it's gotten a little over the top. So, that guy started with a best friend of mine who was the head football coach, and his twin brother is a college football coach. And so he was always in football staff meetings on Friday night before they played on Saturday. So he asked me to do it. So then it became this animal that got out of control, and everybody started expecting it. So I'm going to try to scale back this year.
Hey man, I don't want to cut into your other duties. I know you got to do those. I hate unfollowing you because I feel like such a jerk because you are so awesome. You are a great dude, man. And I really appreciate you being here. I know we'll see you again soon, but if I don't see you or talk to you before you guys kick it off, man, go have a great season, make those guys better, and keep getting out there and doing the great things that you do, man.
We're going to do it, man. And I appreciate you running these podcasts, man. It's helping me get my grass cut and my yard work that I've been doing during this COVID time. So I've learned a lot. So appreciate you doing these things, buddy.
Hey, man, anything for you, pal. I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, Rob. Thank you, buddy.
All right, take care.
Wow, thank you so much for joining us today. Big shout out to Coach Hucks for joining us. Give him a follow on social media at bhucks17. If you enjoyed this episode, like, comment, subscribe, review, and share. Give us a follow on social media at CaneCast Show. You can reach out to me on all social channels at Rob Younce or email me directly at robyounce@gmail.com. I welcome your feedback as we look to improve this show every single at-bat. Until next time, stay safe, wash your hands, and keep on smiling because baseball's coming.